Hello again, and welcome to your surface area review for your upcoming surface area test this week. Let's begin, as we always do, with vocabulary. Our only vocabulary for the week is what is surface area? Surface area, all it is the sum of all of the shapes that cover the surface of an object. So for example, if you have a cube, as we know, a cube has 6 squares in it. That means we have to find the area of 6 squares and add them up, and we have the surface area of our object. We will go into each object today and how to find the surface area. Our first object we're going to go over, as I mentioned, is the cube. So a cube is 6 sides and all are congruent squares. All are the same shapes, all the squares are the same length. So how this study session is gonna work today is that I provide you with, let me get this out of the way, I provide you with the 3D shape, which you can see is up top, and then I provide you with the net, or the unfolded cube. If we were to take a cube apart, unfold it, it would look like the shape down here below. Okay, so how do we find surface area of this? On the test, you will see that our cube is given dimensions. So let's say the base is 5 inches. The depth back is 5 inches. And my height is 5 inches. If I were to look at this from a net standpoint, all of the sides would be 5 inches. Your first equation that you need to know, and you'll remember this back to your 2D area, is that how you find the area of a square or a rectangle is A equals base times height. We just need to find that for one square in a cube. So my base of this square is 5, and my height is 5. When I do 5 times 5, my base times height, I get 25 inches squared. Now, that is just the area of one square. We need to find 6 of them. With a cube, it's very easy. We know since there's 6 sides, I can just take my 25 inches. I can times that by 6 because there are 6 sides. And I end up with 30, carry the 3, 12, 150 inches squared. Make sure whenever we are finding area, your units, in this case inches, are squared. We don't do anything. We don't actually square the number, but my units are squared. That is how I find area of a cube. So now, let's practice. I would like for you to find the surface area of a cube that is 7 inches by 7 inches by 7 inches. Please pause your recording and complete this now. Again, remember that I find area of a square as base times height. That's actually any quadrilateral but a trapezoid. Squares, rectangles, rhombuses, parallelograms. We use A equals base times height. My base of one of my squares is 7, and my height, since it is a cube and all sides are the same, is also 7. 7 times 7 is 49 inches squared. So each one of these is 49. I take that 49 and I can either add 6 of them together, or the easier way to do it is 49 times 6, because there are 6 squares. 9 times 6 is 54. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 5 is 200 and 94 inches squared. If you got that right, nice job. If you did not, we will have some more practice items at the end. Our next set of shapes that we are going to work on is our prism. A prism is a solid with two parallel and congruent polygons. Basically what that means is that we have two shapes and the rest around it are going to be rectangles. And you name it based on the base. You name it what the base is, if I can say that more clearly. So if I start with this one, I have all rectangles. You'll see my base, my fronts are rectangles. So this is a rectangular prism. My other shape that we will need to know for the test as well is my bases. Everything but my rectangles in this base are triangles. So this is called a triangular prism. My first shape that we are going to find the area of is the rectangular prism. Finding the area of a rectangular prism is a little bit different than the cube because we actually have to find the area of each side since the rectangles are different. I'll first demonstrate the way that we solved it in class. If you need the net, I provided a net underneath. We didn't use this in class, but it is helpful to some people. Okay, so we always start with, we pick one of the sides. Let's just pick, well, actually you'll see the dimensions is it's 5 inches across. My depth is 3 inches and my height is 2 inches. So let's pick a side. Let's pick the front rectangle, this one right here. My dimensions of the front rectangle are 5 across and 2 high. So my base times height, again, for all of my rectangles, A equals B times H. My base times height, 5 times 2 is 10. Now, here comes what you have to keep in mind. After I do a rectangle, I ask myself, how many rectangles are exactly like this one? In this rectangular prism, it is the front rectangle and also the back rectangle are the same because they have to be congruent. So since there are 2, I take that and I times it by 2. I took care of the front and the back. My answer is 20. I'm going to put that off to the side. My next rectangle that I need to find the area of, let's do the sides. So I have one side right here. My dimensions of that rectangle are 3 is my base and 2 is my height. 3 times 2 is 6. Again, how many rectangles look exactly like this one? The answer is 2 because my other side has to be congruent, so it is the exact same. 3 times 2 is 6. There are 2 of them that look, 2 rectangles that are the same, so I'll times that number by 2. That gives me 12, and I'll put 12 off to the side. Finally, I took care of my front and back, my 2 sides. I need to take care of my top and my bottom. The top of my rectangle, the dimensions are, it is 5 across and it is 3 back. 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15 when I do my base times height. Again, there are 2 rectangles that are the same because we have the top and the bottom. So I times that number by 2. 15 times 2 is 30, and I put that number off to the side. I just found the area separately of all 6 of my rectangles. My final step is I just need to add them together. 0 plus 2 plus 0 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 3 is 6. 62 inches, don't forget to square it. 62 inches squared is my answer. Okay. Here is the rectangular prism that I would like for you to pause and practice. Let's make the dimensions 8 inches across, 4 inches back, and 3 inches will be my height of my rectangular prism. Please pause it now. If you're stuck on what to do, go back and watch the example. Pause your recording now. Let's check this. Again, I'm going to start with my front rectangle. My front rectangle right here, I need to find the area of all rectangles. If you use the net, it is below. My front rectangle is 8 across and it is 3 high. 8 times 3 is 24. Remember, the front and the back are the same, so I'll take care of the back as well. And so I will times that number by 2. Since the front and the back are the same, there are 2 rectangles that are equal. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. 48 is the area of my front and my back. Let's put that off to the side. Let's deal with the sides now. I have 4 by 3. That is 12 when I do my base times my height. I'll get that equation for you guys up here. That is 12, and then, again, both the sides are equal. So I will times that number by 2, and that gives me 24. Again, put it off to the side. Finally, I have to take care of my top and my bottom. Sorry, this is in blue. My top is 8 across and 4 back. That's 8 times 4 is 32. The top and the bottom are the same. There we go. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. That is 64. I will end because I need to add all of them together to get the total area. 8 plus 4 is 12. Plus 4 is 16. That's 5, 7, and 13. 136 inches squared is my answer. If you got that right, you are good to go. If you did not, there are some practice problems at the end of the thing, or please come ask me. The next shape that you'll need to know is the triangular prism. Again, this is a triangular prism because my bases, my front and back, are triangles, and then I have rectangles all around. So the 2 equations you need to know is, of course, when you are finding the area of your rectangles, A equals B times H. When you are finding the area of your rectangle, of your triangle, and think back to our 2D geometry, our 2-dimensional, is A equals 1/2 base times height. This is for my triangles. This is for my rectangles. Okay? A triangle is always 1/2 of a rectangle, so we take the base times height, and then we take half of that. Let's demonstrate the first one. So for this one, let's make my base of my triangle 8 feet. The height of my triangle is 4 feet. This base of my rectangle is 12 feet. And the height of this line right here is 6 feet. That would also make the height of this right here, this line, 6 feet as well. Okay. Remember, if you need help breaking it apart, there is a net of it. And I'll demonstrate how to do this one. So I always like to begin with my triangles. Again, my equation for triangles is A equals 1/2 base times height. My base of my triangle is 8. My height, look for the height of the triangle, is 4. So 8 times 4 is 32. When I take half of that, I get 16. Another way to think of this is I could just take half of one of the numbers. So if you were to take half of, let's say, 8, this would leave me with 4, and then 4 times 4 will also give you 16. Okay, so the area of one of my triangles is 16. If you wanted to, you could write 16 here as well in the other triangle, or you could just times this number by 2. 16 times 2 is 32, and then we write that off to the side. This is the area of all my triangles. That is the area of my triangles. Now I need to find the area of my rectangles. So the base of my rectangle, I'll represent in green, is 12. We'll deal with the rectangle that's closest to us. The base is 12 and the height is 6. Just base times height. 12 times 6 gives me 2, carry 1, gives me 72. So I know this front right here is 72 feet. Now I also know that the other side, the back side, since those are congruent rectangles, is also 72 feet. Again, I will write those off to the side because I know I will need to add everything together in the end. Finally, I have my bottom rectangle. Whoops. The one I'm representing in blue. It is at the bottom of my shape. The length of that is 12. And the height of that, or the width of it right here, is 8. 12 times 8 is 96. That is my last rectangle. And again, I'll put that off to the side because I know I need to add that in. So 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus 6 is 12. Carry my 1, that's 4, 11, 18, and that is 272. I'll write that nice and big because that's my final answer after I add everything together. Whoops. Feet. I'm going to erase that and make that legible for everyone. 272 feet. And don't forget the squared since we are finding area. Okay. Let's do a practice problem. Let's make my triangle. For my practice problem, the base will be 5 centimeters. The height of my triangle will be 3 centimeters. The height of my rectangles are 6 centimeters, which also makes this line right here 6 centimeters. And the base of my entire shape will be 15 centimeters. Please pause it right now and complete. Don't forget that my equations are a equals 1/2 base times height for my triangle and a equals base times height for my rectangles. Okay. My triangles. I have my base of my triangle as 5 and the height of my triangle right here as 3. 3 times 5 is 15. When I take half of 15, I get 7.5. Since there are two triangles that are exactly the same, I can times that by 2. And that gives me 15 is the total area of my triangles. I will write that to the side. My rectangles. Let's start with this rectangle right here. My base of my rectangle is 15. My height of my rectangle is 6. If I show my work off to the side, I have 5 times 6 is 30, carry the 3. That gives me 90. So I have 90 right there. Now, there are two rectangles that look like that. Each of the sides are congruent, so I can times that by 2. Oops. And I have 180, because that is also 90. Finally, I have my base of my entire shape. So my base is this bottom part right here. The length is 15 for the base. The height is 5. 15 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. That gives me 75 total for this middle section right there. I add that together with my other ones that I went off to the side on. Let me get rid of this right here so I can add them up. And when I add them up, 5 plus 5 is 10. That's 2. That's 10. 17. 270 centimeters squared is my final answer after I add both of my triangles and all of my rectangles. That is it for triangular prisms. Again, if you need help, there's some problems at the end of the study session. My next shape is my pyramid. Again, you will need to know your equation for triangles because, as you remember, a pyramid, the ones that we are going to work with have a square base and have 4 triangles. You will see located below is the net of the pyramid. The first problem we will do will be the height of my pyramid is 6 meters, and the base right here is 5 meters. Again, don't forget how to find area of a triangle. Let's start with our triangles. I take 1/2. My base is right here is 5. My height moving up is 6 meters. 5 times 6 is 30. Half of 30 is 15. I know that one triangle has an area of 15 meters. The easiest way to complete that, since we have 4 equal triangles, is just to take that number that you get when you find the area of your triangle and multiply that by 4. 15 times 4 is 20. That gives me 60. I will write that off to the side. I have an area of 60 because when I add up all of my triangles, that is how much it is. Finally, to find the surface area, I have to find the area of the base. The area of my base, well, it's a square. So I know that this is 5 meters. One of my sides of my square is 5 meters. Since it is a square, all the sides have to be equal. So my base is going to be 5, and my height is also going to be 5, since they are the same for a square. 5 times 5, my area is 25. I take that 25 and I will add that with my 60. And that gives me 85 meters squared. There's my answer. So for pyramids, just summing it up very easily, you find the area of a triangle, multiply that by 4, and then find the area of your base and add that together. Please try this one on your own. We will have my base be 6 feet and the height of my triangle 7 feet. Pause it now and get after it. Let's begin with the area of my triangles. A equals 1/2 base times height is my equation. My base of my triangle is 6. My height is 7. 6 times 7 is 42. And half of 42 is equal to 21. So each of my triangles are equal to 21 feet squared. I am just going to take that 21 and I'm going to multiply that by 4 so I can find all 4 at once. That gives me 84. I'm going to write 84 to the side because that's the area of all of my triangles. Finally, I have to find the area of my base. I know that one side of my square is 6, so that means the other side must be 6 as well. 6 times 6, my area is 36 of my base. I write that to the side. Now we solve. 4 plus 6 is 10. Carry the 1, that's 9, that's 12. My final answer is 120 feet squared. That will do it for pyramids. Our final shape that we need to know is the cylinder. The cylinder is something that we spent a lot of time on in class. In case you forget, I put all your steps to the right, 1 through 4. It is the most complicated figure, but since we've done it so much, I hope it is easy. A quick review of how we do it. First, let's show you a net. That might be the easiest way to describe it. So down low is our net. And for our net, we'll notice that it is 2 circles and a rectangle. So the first thing we do is we find the area of circles. The area is pi r squared. So let's put that into practice. Let me give some dimensions to this cylinder. Let's go with my radius right here, halfway through the circle, is 4 inches. And then the height of the cylinder is 6 inches. Okay, so as always, we're going to use, for pi, we're going to have that just equal to 3. So you guys don't need a calculator. First step is to find the area of a circle, and that is A equals pi r squared. For pi, we are going to use 3, and the radius of my circle is 4 squared. Now, here is the step that trips people up. Don't forget your PEMDAS. Exponents come before multiplication. So make sure you do the 4 squared first. 4 squared is 16. 16 times 3. My area of each circle is 48. Okay. Now, please think back to our demonstration where I unroll that cylinder. I have the sheet of paper and I unroll it. Remember, even though 6 looks like the long ways on our cylinder, it is actually the short end of the rectangle. So that is 6 inches. Now, in order to find the area of the rectangle, we have to find the circumference because we have to figure out how long this long side is. Circumference is pi times diameter. So I have C equals pi times diameter. Again, we're going to use 3 for pi. Now, diameter is just full way through a circle. So I know if 4 is halfway through my circle, my full way through my circle has to be 8. My circumference is 3 times 8, which is 24. All that means is this side is 24 inches, the long side of my rectangle. Again, think back to my demonstration where I showed you that circumference is just equal to the long side. Okay, third step, I have to find the area of my rectangle, which we've done about 1,000 times so far in the study session. It is my base times my height, 24 times 6. When I do that to the side, I have 4 times 6 is 24. That is 12 plus 2 is 14. My area of my rectangle is 144. The last step, number 4, is just to add the areas. So I will add together my area of my one circle, my area of my rectangle, and my area of my other circle. Nothing else. So I'm running out of room, but 144 plus 48 plus 48, that is 16 plus 4 is 20. Carry the 2, 6, 10, 14. That is 240. That nice and big. Inches squared is my answer. I know that looks like a lot of work and the board is full, but hopefully we've done that enough where it's not too bad. Let's have you guys practice now. I just wrote on your practice sheet, I just wrote the equations that you need. You're going to have to memorize these for the test, but they're there just in case for your study session. We'll keep the cylinder looking the same way. Let's have your radius is 3 millimeters, and the height is 13 millimeters. Please pause now and complete this problem. Let's begin with my circles. A equals pi r squared. Again, we're going to use 3 for pi. That is 3 times 3 squared. 3 squared, remember to do that first. 3 squared is 9. 3 times 9, the area of each circle is 27 millimeters squared. So I will fill those in. The next step is, since I know this is 13 millimeters, I have to find my circumference. I do that with c equals pi times diameter. My pi is 3. My diameter, if halfway through the circle is 3, I know the full way through the circle must be 6. And that is equal to 18. So this side, the long side of my rectangle, is 18 millimeters. Third step, I have to find the area of my rectangle. I know A equals base times height. My base is 13. My height is 18. I will do that off to the side. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 3, that's 5. Skip a spot when we move down. 1 times 8 is... lost my pen. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. When I add them together, I get... sorry, my board's filling up. 4. 5 plus 8 is 13. Carry the 1. 234 millimeters is the area of my rectangle. Now, my final step is just to add them, all the areas together. So I need to add the circle, the rectangle, and the circle. I have 234, 27, 27. 4 plus 7 is 11, plus 7 is 18. That's 4, 6, 8, 288 millimeters squared. And my board is officially full. Is your answer. If you got that correct, great job. If not, you should probably come see me for extra help with this one, because this one, it looks like a lot of steps, but there are a lot of the cylinders on the test. That completes my study session. If you need extra help or you are in my class, please complete the additional practice. There's only about 9 problems on the additional practice, so it shouldn't take you too long. As always, here is my name, my school phone number, and my school email. If you need any extra help, I will be happy to help you. Best of luck, and let's ace this test. Good luck.